Hi, good morning. I'm back again. We're continuing haircutting today. I'm kind of working in baby bites because this is a lot of information. Yesterday we covered a lot of things. This being the foundational skill for all our other services. We talked about our head form. We talked about reference points. We talked about a whole lot of stuff. Today I'm going to add some more vocabulary. Honestly, if you don't totally get the concept, please don't freak out. Because tomorrow I'm actually going to cut a haircut and we're going to go over every vocabulary word so that you can see it visually as I do it. So I want you to relax. I want you to enjoy these videos. I'm having a great time doing them as hopefully you are watching them. My goals today are to teach you 3 words: elevation, over direction, and guidelines. Because those are all really, I know I say this over and over, really important. Well, they are. So I am on page 361 as a quickie review. All haircuts are made up of the lines, sections, angles. Let's talk about a couple lines here. We talked about our horizontal line. Here's a 0-degree haircut. Horizontal line. Diagonal forward. So you've got the A-line line. Diagonal back, look how her haircut changed dramatically to a page boy. If you do this, you get an asymmetrical bob. Obviously, the proportions are a little off on this. Talking about that diagonal line, we have a stacked bob, a beveled bob. When you put a diagonal angle into a haircut, you are going to achieve stacking, wedging. Everyone has a different name for it, but that's basically it. We talked a lot about sections. This is a horizontal sectioning of my doll. Here's a section right here. It's known as the nape or occipital. If I take this hair and split it out, I've created a subsection. If I part it out, thank you. If I part it out, where you have a parting on each side of the doll, that is known as a parting, and this is a section of hair I'm going to cut. So that's an important word to know as we work through this. We talked also about line, section, and angles. The angles are when 2 lines intersect. One of my lines is my head form. My other line is the hair. So if I'm holding the hair up like this, in this section, I'm at 90 degrees. Am I 90 degrees there? No, absolutely not. So the angle which the hair is elevated from the head is what creates our angles. Okay, so there's a little bit of going back. So now let's go forward to elevation. Anytime the hair is hanging straight down from the head, just like girlfriend here, we have 0 elevation and or a blunt haircut. The minute I elevate this hair, I am going to start layers. No matter what I do, I will create a layer. Our goal most times are making even layers versus choppy layers. But the minute I elevate this hair out of a 0 position, I create layers. So in our textbook, elevation is projecting or lifting. Think about an elevator going up and down. The hair is in its natural fall, up, down, up, down. Okay? In our textbook, I've underlined in a blunt haircut or a 1-length haircut, there is no elevation. It is 0 degrees. Honestly, for a lot of clients, this is the best haircut. It's easy to style. If someone has fine, thin hair, it's easy. It looks denser. So this is a money maker haircut. We can change our design line to create different haircuts, but it's still at 0. So don't discount this because this is perfect for a lot of our clients. Here's an important thing that Karen Dungan once taught me. On the head, we have horizontal lines. You don't see them because they're not drawn on the head. Here's the deal. If I am going below This horizontal, I am building weight. Weight equals length. Here's a very good example of this. The hair is shorter at the bottom. It progressively gets longer. I am building weight. It's known as gradual elevation for some people, but this will give you a 45-degree haircut. Here is also a 45-degree haircut. Look at the weight right here. It's heavier here. The haircut was cut this way. Maybe you can see my comb better. There we go. Okay, so the minute we're below that line, we are building weight. The minute we're elevating the hair at straight out or in an upward position, we are removing weight, meaning the haircut is getting shorter. Here's basically the same haircut. One is held at 45, one is held at 90. Notice this is more wedge-like. This is more rounded. That's why we're removing weight. Okay, that is a really important concept in hair cutting. And we are going to be cutting, and I'm going to demo out at some point how to cut the 0, the 45, the 90. This is also at 90. All the hairs have been elevated straight out from the head. This is Jennifer Aniston's haircut from long, long ago. So those are really important. That sentence, when the hair is elevated at 90 degrees, you are building weight, is in about the middle of that paragraph. That's a very important concept. Okie dokie. So we talk about these elevations. So on my doll, you can see them here. So we got 0. There's 45. There is 90. As I'm walking up the head, if I hold it up like this, it's at 180. I'm going to get what's known as a long layered haircut. If I'm truly at 180 at the top of the head, I am over the head. Some people call that over direction. I still want to think of that as elevation. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay? So that elevation is based also on where you are on the head form. So it's not just here, it's anywhere you are. Here's this little guy, and maybe you can see a little bit better with the thicker threads. Whoop. So if I'm at the occipital, there is 0, 45, and 90. At the back of the head, there's your 45 in this parietal ridge area, 90, and then if I go up in this area, I'm at 180. When we're talking about the top of the head, if I pull the hair in this way, I'm at 45. If I'm going there, it's 45. Here I'm at 90. So if you think about a 90-degree haircut, think of the rays of the sun sticking straight out or Hellraiser, depending on your point of view in life. This is 90, but if I'm doing a long layered haircut, this is now 180. You'll get a totally different haircut. What's going to happen is every time you elevate the hair, you're reflecting what's underneath it. It's a geometric principle that I have no idea how to tell you. But if you do this, you'll notice the hair becomes shorter and slowly spills out into a longer length. That way you preserve the length of a long layered haircut. And I'm going to do that the day after. So we'll do a 0-degree haircut. Then we'll take your customer and we're going to add long layers to that 0-degree haircut. So you have that to look forward to, I hope. Okay? So those are all the important words so far. There's another really important word called finger angle or cutting line. Bam, she's dead. The cutting line or the finger angle is the angle in which the fingers are held when cutting. So for example, there is my cutting line. It is diagonal at the moment. My cutting line could mirror the shape of the head. My cutting line, if I go this way, go short to long. So what angle your fingers are at makes a difference. So randomly doing it will give you a very uneven haircut. And I always wondered when I was in beauty school why my haircuts were always like, what happened? It was because I kept changing my finger angles throughout the haircuts randomly and not consistently. So if you ever see someone with a stacked bob and they have a tail right in the middle, they were lazy and flipped their hands out. So you get a little tail in the back where it should be the shortest. That's finger angle. It's called finger angle, cutting line, all that. Okay? So that's super important. Here's the next words I want to teach you. Guidelines. Guidelines, also known as a guide, is a subsection of the hair that determines the length of the hair that's going to be cut. So, when we do our haircut tomorrow, this will become super, super apparent. Here is my parting. My parting will also become my guide. I'm not going to cut Deborah today. You'll see that tomorrow. But I will come through here and I will cut this hair. This will establish the length of my haircut. The next section will come down. I will mirror it. The next section will come down. I will mirror it. Next section comes down. This becomes a guideline, and it's a perimeter guideline. The perimeter guideline could be my bangs. It could be here, but it's on the outside or the silhouette of the haircut. That's what's known as a perimeter or an outer line guide. There are also going to be interior guides. Usually our stationary guides, a lot of times are on the perimeter, but that's not true for everything, okay? An interior guide is anything that's going on in the middle of the haircut. For example, if I elevate this hair and cut it, this will be my guide. I will then take another piece of hair and combine it with my guide and cut it. So this will be my interior guide. If you look at this, my interior guide could start right at here, the hairline, and walk it all the way with the haircut. That's an interior guide. Okay, those two words are important. So there's two different other types of guides. There's stationary. That means the guide is always in the same place. It never moves. The first thing we talked about was a stationary guide because all the hair came to the perimeter. There are times in which we will take all of the hair and bring it eventually all to one section. This will become a stationary guide, and that is how this haircut has been cut. It's all been pulled to center back from the bottom all the way to the crown. That's a stationary guide. That stationary guide can be in the back. If I pull it forward, I get wings. I get the traditional Farrah Fawcett winged haircut. And so you got to Google that one because I'm not even going through that. So anyways, stationary guide can be here. It can be forward. We also have a thing called a traveling guide. That means I'm moving. So this girl was cut with a traveling guide. That means my guide was right here at the bangs. And I'm going to work in a radial pattern, or almost like a piece of pie, or the clock hands. So that means my guide is here at 12 o'clock. I take a piece of my guide, combine it with 1 o'clock. I then combine it to 2 o'clock. That was a disconnected cut. I will now connect them. Then I will travel to here. I will travel to here. I will travel to here, I'll travel to here. Could I combine a stationary guide and a traveling guide? Absolutely. Once you understand the principles of haircutting, you can create any haircut you want. So that's what's really fun about this, is you could be at 45, then elevate it to 90, then working in some over direction. So you can create any shape you want. I like to think of haircutting as sculpting. So I'm removing what's not there. So I'm creating a shape. So a lot of times for me, this is sculpting. So all that information about guidelines is on 364, 365. Please review all those diagrams in there because they're very helpful for me to envision what's going on. And then we will start doing some of this on film. So the last thing I want to talk about is a thing called overdirection. So let's start about this, and this goes in with the stationary guide idea, a lot of things. This is the natural fall of the hair. So my hair wants to fall off the tablecloth theory, it wants to fall naturally down. This haircut, raw hair, has no overdirection in it. And here is a little diagram I made for you guys. Hello. So this is no overdirection. That means the hair is held exactly where it lives. There's no side-to-side motion. So here's how I like to think about overdirection. It's a side-to-side motion versus an up and down motion. So if I pull the hair forward, my hair in the front of the head will be shorter. This hair will be longer. When the hair falls, it will wing back. If I pull this hair back and cut it, it's going to fall shorter in the back, longer in the front. That's the principle of overdirection. You start seeing overdirection in these two haircuts. Notice how the layers are longer in back, are shorter in back, progressively longer in the front. These involve overdirection and elevation. There are 45 elevations and two different types of overdirection, which I'll show you on this right here. This is the back of the head, I can elevate this to a stationary guide or overdirect this to a stationary guide, which is center back. The other version of this overdirection is I can overdirect it to the previous section. I'm still pulling the hair out of its natural fall. Okay, I do have a handout. I'm going to try to figure out how to print it up in my lesson plan so you can see, but you have this here, and I know there's a lot of glare coming off the board, so I hope that makes sense. Anyways, that's the principle of overdirection. When you take the hair out of its natural fall, your layering is going to be different. So where you stand and your body position, that is key. So if I'm traveling guide, no overdirection, I'm going to move around my customer. If I'm doing stationary guides with overdirection, I'm going to keep myself right back here where I belong. The biggest problem with our overdirected bobs are one side will be overdirected, we'll step out of body position, and we'll cut the other side too short. So that's why body position is key in this. So that's my lesson for today. Please keep on working on your homework. Tomorrow, I'm going to teach you how to cut a haircut for someone who comes in the salon with super long hair, and some little tricks and hot tips and all sorts of stuff, so you just don't have to read in the book and all that good stuff. And then the following day, we'll overdirect her hair, and we'll actually over elevate her hair to 180 and give her a long layered haircut. And then we'll just keep on going. So, thank you for